Hello, my friends. You are listening to the Music Ed Mentor podcast, where we teach music educators how to build, manage, and grow thriving school music programs and have long and happy careers, no matter where you are in the world or what is going on in your life or what kind of challenges you're faced with. That is what we do. And this episode follows along with that exactly. Because if you are not properly prepared to mentally and emotionally face some of the challenges that we're facing at the time of this recording, which I should tell you, I hope that you listen to this anytime that you need it. I hope that this episode is bookmarked for you so that anytime you feel like you are going through a particularly hard challenge, you can revisit, reconnect, and renew your own hope and desires for the future. That is what this episode is really, truly all about. It's about providing you with strength to endure and to enjoy whatever is happening. Okay, I don't want to give it all away. And my guest today is one of my absolute favorite people and dearest friends. Dr. Matthew Arau is the founder of Upbeat Global. He's the chair of the Music Ed Department and associate director of bands at the Lawrence University Conservatory of Music in Appleton, Wisconsin. In addition, Dr. Arau is on the faculty of the American Band College of Central Washington University and Vandercook College of Music. He also serves as a consumer educational clinician and as member at large on the NAFME Council for Band Education. Dr. Arau has guest conducted, he's presented, he's built a leadership empire. He focuses on mindfulness, growth mindset, rehearsal techniques. And if you haven't seen him present yet, you are truly missing out. It is time for you to connect with him because he does things so completely differently from what you would expect. It's this beautiful blend of spiritualism and reconnection right alongside with rehearsal techniques and student management. It's really cool. He's conducted honor bands in Australia, Greece, Cyprus, Malaysia, and on all-state honor bands across the U.S. Way back 6 months ago, when schools shut down and the pandemic really hit, and of course I'm dating this episode, but please, I do hope you listen to it year-round. I reached out to Matthew at that point to join me for a series of webinars we called Living in Tune. Our goal for these weekly webinars was to give people a single time and place once per week to get away from all the stress and join a group of us to refocus and rethink the way we approached challenges. We did guided meditations, we had a theme every week, and if you're interested in experiencing those, they're on YouTube, and I'll put a link to them in the show notes for this episode. Though certainly we are faced with challenging times right now, it is my belief that we are never free from challenges as long as we aren't prepared to face them. The ideals that Matthew and I share with you today are what help us to weather the storms with a peaceful heart and find joy every day. And I truly hope that through this time you share with us, that you walk away with some hope and some peace and some joy for yourself every day. But first, did you know that Smart Music has added a new and vital feature for you to support your students, whether you're at school, at home, or some kind of hybrid playing in between? You can print what you practice now in Smart Music this fall. For the first time ever, Smart Music Premium users now have the ability to print thousands of educational titles at no additional cost for the entire U.S. academic year. This is a game-changing new feature, and it includes a selection of some of the most widely used method books. That's right, your students can print their method books, such as Sound Innovations and Accent on Achievement from Alfred Music, Traditions of Excellence from Kajas, and Measures of Success from FJH. Learn more about this incredible feature and how it can impact your music program at smartmusic.com. That's where you'll find the show notes for this episode as well. Now, without further ado, enjoy this time, take it for yourself, and know that I appreciate you being here with us. I know you have so much else you could do. Take this time for you. I brought you on today because I'm hearing a lot of chatter among our music education associates and friends and colleagues that we are struggling right now with more than just not knowing what's happening soon, depending on what the situation's going to be like, how long are we going to be in schools, if we are going back to schools, and if we're not, we're going to be in online classes, and how do we deal with all of that? And so I'm trying to provide, as many of us are in positions of communication and service, ways to help. And, our last episode was all about shifting your mindset to accepting that online learning is legitimate learning. And if you don't see it as legitimate, your students won't. So that was last week. Let's talk about mindfulness and mindset that we should have as a music educator so that we can meet the challenges that we're being faced with. Where you're a master at this, where do we even start?
Well, that's a really big question, and certainly something that's been on my heart so much as I, like you, Elisa, I'm always trying to think of how can I serve others, right? And how can I uplift and find ways to serve our profession, the music teachers and their students. And like you, I have colleagues that have already started teaching, depending on what state, but one friend comes to mind who started teaching with students on Thursday in Georgia, and he's in person teaching, with a mask and a face shield, and other friends, a friend in Massachusetts, they're going to be starting late mid-September, and they're starting virtually. And so we have the whole gamut depending on where you are, what state, and so the needs of the directors varies. And I've just been, listening to teachers and trying to think how can we help? And I have been hearing back that what people really need support in is really mindset and finding a way to mentally and emotionally move forward. And we as music teachers, at least I know you know this, that we are always thinking about how can we serve our students, and we're always focused on our students. And it's like we are the last people that we ever think about is ourselves, right? How can I help somebody else? How can I make it safe for my students? How can they have a musical experience? How can I make sure that social emotional needs are met of my student? We know that so many of them have gone through trauma and they're coming back, and we want to create a safe space, whether that's in a virtual place or in person or some form of hybrid. I think it's super important for us to take care of the teacher themselves and to provide that space to look within and to provide support. And that's where I want to move forward, and maybe we can have a conversation about that. But I just want to kind of share what's on my mind to kickstart this conversation.
Well, I think so many of us come from that place because not only do we genuinely care and want to serve, but we've been told our whole lives, don't be selfish, right? Mm-hmm. Serve others first. Mm-hmm. Go hungry until others are fed. And I think that we've discovered that mindset is great. But you have to do it for the love of the people, the charity that you feel, that, happy, joyful feeling that you feel for others. But you can't feel that if you yourself are being deprived in some way. Mm-hmm. So how do we balance that, caring for others while caring for ourselves? I don't feel like they have to be mutually exclusive. Do you?
No, they definitely support each other. And I'm really appreciative that you're bringing this topic up. Pema Chodron, to paraphrase her, she said that in order to show compassion and kindness for others, we must begin with showing compassion and kindness for ourselves. Wayne Dyer says that we can't give away what we don't already have. And it reminds me that we need to fill our cup first in order to be able to give to others. Others have compared it to when you're flying, which many of us have not been on an airplane in many months, but they always say, if you're the parent or the adult, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others, which has always seemed like, whoa, that's bizarre. But that's the metaphor that we need here, is that you need to fill your cup up so that you have more to give. And it begins with taking care of ourselves. And this is a paradigm shift. If we were raised with that idea to think of others first, what I'm suggesting is, in order to serve others more effectively, we need to provide that space in our life to fill our cup up with. And I know, when the COVID crisis first hit, you and I had this series of webinars called Living in Tune. And that was our focus, which is, how can you make yourself in tune so that you can be at your best to serve others? And I think that is a shift in mindset. So just pausing to think about that concept is a new beginning.
Yeah. And there are some struggles with this. It will feel, self-care will feel like you're being selfish. And so there are some mindset shifts that you can do to get over that. I mean, for those of us who have a hard time being served by others, right? Because that's the other side of the coin, is that we're afraid to ask for help, that we hesitate to let others serve us, is to think that by letting others serve me, they are feeling good.
Yes.
Right? Because service makes us feel good, which is why we do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are some other mindset shifts that we can have to justify or support ourselves in our efforts to be more mindful and
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, just to go off, to continue on this line of thinking, we know that if we get adequate rest, we know that if we improve our diet, we know that if we can build in even 10 minutes of movement or exercise in our day, we know that if we can pause for 5 minutes of focused breathing and some form of meditation or prayer, or if we can take 2 minutes even to journal on gratitude, you may think, I'm giving time to myself, and yes, you are, but you are amplifying now what you are capable of giving to others. And one way to look at it is that we all know what it feels like to be hangry, hungry and angsty together, right? And we know that when we get in that place, we may be more in a reactionary mood and have regrets later. But if we would just stop and pause and eat and drink some water, now we're ready to serve. And the same thing goes for us as teachers, that we are moving so fast and working with so many students. And it seems like our email list we never get to the bottom of it. And we literally could be in our offices from 6:30 in the morning till 10 p.m. at night, nonstop, maybe eating while you're at the computer, and still feel like you don't get enough done. I know that as a public school teacher for 15 years in Colorado, I completely understand that. But to know that we can be much more efficient and much more effective, and our energy is much more vibrant, and we have so much more to give to our students, to lift them up when we just take that space. And it could be 30 minutes in the morning to give to yourself. And so it's not like a profound shift. It's something that everybody can do. In fact, you can do it in 17 seconds. You can change your life with the first 17 seconds upon waking in the morning. And you may be listening to this podcast and think, Dr. Rao, have you gone out of your mind? And I'm here to tell you that if you can focus on what brings you joy, gratitude, or comfort, or even what you're looking forward to creating in the day ahead upon the first 17 seconds upon waking, those thoughts will become sticky, and they will begin to attract thoughts like them. And it's the same as when you put in a piece of music into Spotify or Pandora, and it attracts music like it. Our thoughts are the same way, which is why if you, quote, wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you start to notice everything that's going wrong. Likewise, if you can begin to create a new habit of focusing on gratitude in particular, you begin to see more things that you are grateful for. In fact, you could look at it, you always find what you are looking for. If you're looking for somebody to like bug you or annoy you, I guarantee you will find them. But if you are looking to find the goodness in others, you will find that as well. And it begins with the first 17 seconds. And I love to share, instead of waking up to an alarm clock, choose to wake up to an opportunity clock. And that alone can change the entire trajectory of your day. And changing one day can lead to changing an entire life.
It's so true. I can't, like, my face hurts from smiling because it's so true. Because I felt it in my own life, as you well know. But I also think, as an efficiency expert, right? Somebody who's super into life hacks and doing better, we might think in our mind, well, I don't have time to eat lunch outside of my office, or I don't have time to take a walk outside, or I don't have time for that. I have so many other things to do. But then I let my inner efficiency expert say, you know what? If you take that time now, it will save you time in the future, because you will be more efficient, because you're improving your machine. You're giving your brain a break so that it can come back stronger. So instead of always thinking, I just don't have time for that, we need to shift that thought to, I need to take time for this so I can be better at it later. And there's a time management hack that I swear by. It's, you plan your day the night before. And it's proven that for every minute that you spend in planning, you save 9 minutes or 10 minutes in execution. So even though you might feel like, I don't have time to just sit and plan, or I don't have time to just sit and think, you're actually saving much more time in doing that practice. So let's talk about practice. You said this first 17 seconds of the day to think about happy thoughts and gratitude. And I love your sticky thoughts. I love that. So what are some other sort of practices that we can do?
Well, actually, I think it's some of them are going to be about changing habits, and some will be about creating new habits. Think about, for one, what impact scrolling through political comments on Facebook, for example, may have on your mental and emotional psyche, or putting on the news, which tends to be focused on fear-based news and negativity. What impact does that have on you mentally and emotionally? Now, some people may say, well, I need to make sure that I'm completely up to date on what's happening. But the truth is, if there's something major happening, you'll find out about it. And so I would encourage people to begin with either go cold turkey on turning off the news, or really decrease. Some people say, okay, I do 5 minutes a day. I give myself 5 minutes, and I know in those 5 minutes, it doesn't impact me psychologically, but it's only going to be 5 minutes if they feel that need that. But I really advocate a news fast. And use social media for positivity, right? Like join groups that are for uplifting others, that focus on what's going well in life rather than what's going wrong. Because it's so true. If you get into the comment section, like, you can just be sucked in, and then you feel like tarnished and toxic afterwards. So that's one thing. I actually like to choose what I listen to, and what that means for me is, upon waking, as I set my mindset for the day, I actually choose what kind of music I'm going to listen to, which is very soothing, meditative music that I have playing through the house speakers while I'm making coffee and or tea. Then I choose to meditate. And that's a habit of 15 minutes every morning. And some people might be intimidated by meditation, but I'm here to share that meditation is a practice, and you never master it, and you will always have thoughts going through your mind, and that is okay. Meditation is just about being present and doing your best to focus on your breath, and you will have thoughts that pass here and there, over and under, and to just be aware of the thoughts, and then begin to focus on the sounds that you hear around you. And you can do a meditation on gratitude, but providing that 15 seconds or 15 minutes of personal time for me is invaluable. And then I choose to follow that up with about 10 minutes of yoga stretches and some core stuff. And I also try to get some exercise. And so I either walk or go swimming in the morning. But you can see that I'm giving this time to myself. And then I do journal it as well. And I enjoy focusing on, what I'm grateful for. And there's so much to discover that you are grateful for when you just give it that time. Now, I know that there's a lot of darkness in the world. I know this is a very dark time, and I've been meeting, with hundreds and thousands of high school students sharing thoughts about leadership and about mindfulness and positive thinking strategies. And I've shared that in darkness, it takes just one match or one candle or one light to change the darkness, and what we see becomes light. And the same thing works with finding something you're grateful for. You might be really depressed, anxious, and filled with grief and the sense of loss. But if you could just find one thing, it could be the smallest little dot of light in your life, and just think about that, the light will grow. And for me, it's our new dog, Olive, right? Our 9-pound bundle of joy. It's easy for me to think of Olive because she loves unconditionally. So if I want to think about something easy for gratitude, I think of Olive, right? Or the fact that I've had so much more time to spend with my wife, Marilee, during this quarantine time. But if you just focus on one piece of light, you'll begin to find more. And it really is a mind shift. And you can create a new habit of thought because we've been programmed. So this kind of gets into the practice idea, Lisa, that you asked me about. We've been programmed from birth to start automating our life. And we do that for survival reasons. And that's, how we make judgments about things. Like people get categorized even, just supposed to make it easier for us. But we find that those habits of thought are not necessarily the best thing for us. And so in order to grow beyond where we are, we have to stretch and create new habits, which is where being intentional comes in. You have to be intentional about creating a new habit. It's like if you don't floss regularly, you have to decide, I am going to work on creating a new habit and do it, for 21 days or more to work on a habit. The same thing with changing your thought first thing when you wake up in the morning, to focus on those 17 seconds. It will take concerted effort, and maybe, like you said, plan the night ahead, that when I wake up, I'm gonna focus on this, and then test it. And then if it doesn't work, don't be judgmental. Don't judge yourself harshly, because that's the other thing as musicians, we judge ourselves so harshly. I want to move to a world where we move past judgment. We just observe it and say, hey, this morning I missed those 17 seconds. I'll get them next time, and move on. And we can approach our students with that same compassion and kindness and say, like, getting over the break on the clarinet didn't quite work today. I'll give you some strategies. We'll work on it tomorrow. And you're not there yet, but I'm going to keep helping you until you get it.
Yeah, I love the idea of a news fast. Sorry, I'm going back like 10.
Yeah. Great.
But, I was reading Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention, right?
Excellent.
And he pointed out that, we should surround ourselves, we should fill our bodies with healthful foods because that helps us stay in a positive intention. But that we should also surround ourselves with positive things as well. So when I do feel like I need a little brain break and I need to do something besides whatever it is I'm doing, I actually go to Instagram because I've filled my news feed up with beautiful photos, right?
Yes, you have.
Okay. So not only the pictures that I take, although they're great, by the way, follow me on Instagram. But like all the hashtags I follow are some of my favorite places in the world, places that when I see a picture, I'm just like instantaneously filled with joy, like you with your dog, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever I need a little brain break, it's not to Facebook, to look over what other people are doing, although I love my Facebook friends and I have lots of great positivity there. But to have those beautiful images, and this is something that I've intentionally practiced over the last 5 years, especially, is surrounding myself with things that I love and enjoy. And I think we need to do that even more on the days when we know it's going to be the hardest. Like that first day of school, we know that's going to be hard. That performance day that we know is going to be challenging. Those are the days when we need to take extra care of ourselves, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we can also, you mentioned looking at pictures on Instagram. For me, I enjoy going outside, even if it's for 60 seconds and literally getting in touch with nature. And sometimes it's literally going out to our backyard and touching a tree or touching a leaf or putting my hands on the grass and touching the soil and getting reconnected, or just getting a bit of sunshine, even if it's 60 seconds, because we have to, move away from our screen. I know, Elisa, you know this more than anyone, probably in front of you, a screen more than anyone here. But to get outside and change your perspective, but literally get back in touch with nature is probably the best thing we can all do. And so you can do that through looking at a picture or literally going outside.
Well, when I was teaching full time, my classroom had no windows. Right. And I am an outdoor person. Like that is what I do. So I used to take every chance I got to just go step outside. And I would just stand there in the sun. And even today, I've been in meetings since, 7 a.m. my time. And I had one that ended early, right? So I run upstairs and I have a little balcony off of my master bedroom. And I whipped out my yoga mat and I took my shirt off and I just laid there in the sunshine for 10 solid minutes.
Amazing.
It was so, I did nothing. I just did
Beautiful.
nothing. I just laid there and just soaked in the sun and then hurried back to my next meeting and sweat, which was awesome.
Oh, no, that's so great. Absolutely.
Connecting with nature. So what have we covered so far? So, start your day with the happy, sticky thoughts and be grateful and find time to be quiet and meditate. And don't feel guilty about taking care of yourself and take time to be out in nature and prepare yourself for the day ahead in as many ways as you can. And if it's going to be a hard day, fortify yourself for that. What else? What do you feel about affirmations?
Well, you know the answer to that. I think it's really important to focus on what you believe and to write down what you believe about yourself and who you can be at your best, right? And who you want to become. And so for me, it's about, unlimited potential, becoming the best version of yourself. And in my case, I have written down I want to become this, right? I want to become better at this. I want to become better at this. I want to continue to look for things to be grateful for and reading them out loud. And I think that's really important. Both Elisa and myself, we've both read a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And he talks about 6 things to do in the morning. And I haven't been, frankly, I haven't been reading affirmations lately. But when I did do all 6 things that Hal Elrod recommended every single morning, I definitely felt the energy. And my friends that I passed this book on to who started leading their own miracle mornings have also found the same response. Like, oh my gosh, just incredible day. Because you kickstart it. It's like energizing your day with this hour that's devoted to optimizing who you are and who you can become. And I really think it's about the journey of becoming. And for me, as very much into mindfulness and being present and aware of the now, I'm also aware that when we focus on the present and we are truly here now, it helps us become who we're meant to be. I've also said that who you were yesterday does not determine who you can be today or who you will or can become tomorrow, right? That truly so much is about you and deciding who you want to be. And it can, you can motivate yourself because I want to be this for someone else. That's a strong motivator. I want to become the best version of myself for others. But notice what it started with. I want to become the best version of myself to serve others. And sometimes as music teachers, and I'm as guilty as any, we skip that part. We just want to serve others. But we have to fill our glass. We have to, strengthen ourselves. And these things can happen simultaneously. And that's what Elisa alluded to, right? It's not like one happens and then the other. It's not first and then this. These can be happening simultaneously. Like you can begin tomorrow morning, wake up to an opportunity clock and focus on gratitude for the first 17 seconds and just make that change. And continue to find ways to serve others. By the way, don't keep this a secret. Share this with your students. They need this as much as anybody. And I've shared these same ideas with students of all ages, from middle school all the way through university, and of course, teachers and professors. And that alone has changed people's days and lives. Just the idea of waking up to an opportunity clock, transform your life right there. And you can teach your students that because students are hungry for ideas as well on how to deal with the challenges that we're all facing. I mean, going to school wearing masks, this is like a huge paradigm shift. And you can't see the smiles on each other's faces. And now we're going to focus on people's eyes, right? And like maybe the wrinkles around the eyes is to see, are they smiling or not? Nonverbal communication and gestures and stuff are going to become even more important now that part of the face is covered. So how can we lift people's thoughts so that they can find the light in the darkness? They need our help, but it begins with ourself. And even mindfulness kind of works that way. Like you need to experience mindfulness before you can share it with others, right? You need to feel positivity before you can share positive thinking strategies with others. Try some mindful breathing on your own before teaching it to others. And one of them I'll just share right now, Elisa, is called the focus breath, and we can just do it with the listeners. And this is a great one because you can do it on Zoom, on Google Meets, or live, and it just gets everybody focused in the moment. And it's very relaxing. You breathe in your nose for 4 counts, and then out your nose for 4 counts. And I'll just go ahead and lead the listeners on that, and we'll do it a couple times. So in, out your nose. Really relax your shoulders, and in and out and in. And just listen to the sounds around you on this final exhale. Okay, just kind of shake it out. And you may notice just in that moment, everything changed. And what do we change? We changed our breath. That's all we did. And as wind musicians, I'm a saxophonist, so as wind musicians, we are aware of our breath. So we think about it just as like in terms of breathing in for a great tone and for phrasing. But it turns out that when you change your breathing, that is the pathway towards changing your feelings and emotions. Because when we're stressed, anxious, filled with fear, angry, our breathing gets tight, shallow, loud, and irregular. It's a physiological response. But if we want to get to that place where we are serene and able to be creative and think more broadly and use our prefrontal cortex and neocortex, where we can really be solution finders, we need to slow our breathing down. So instead of trying to focus on changing your emotions, focus on changing your breath. And when you change your breath and slow everything down, that's the pathway to changing your emotions. Gratitude's the same thing. We can't multitask emotions. So if you're feeling upset, you can't just say, I'm going to will myself to be happy. That's ridiculous. That's not what we're saying here. But you can choose to focus on gratitude intentionally. And while you do that, you're actually turning down the knob on those unwanted feelings and bringing up the wanted feelings. And I love that idea, instead of talking about negative and positive feelings and emotions, because all emotions and feelings serve a purpose. And we all feel that. And that is a beautiful thing about being human. And of course, so much of the wonderful music wouldn't exist without the range of emotions. I love this idea of thinking of, I just don't want to feel that way. So it's an unwanted emotion. How do I get to a place where I want to feel that way? And to me, that's less judgmental. And I love it.
Yeah, being free of judgment is such a challenge for us because we've been taught from infancy to judge, you know, but really just acknowledgement maybe instead of judgment, and substituting that out in our thoughts and in our deeds. And yeah, this has been just amazing, as conversations with you always are, transformational. Where can we learn more about you and what you're doing with Upbeat Global, and how what you're doing can impact our students and ourselves?
Well, wonderful. Yeah. Well, it's really a privilege to talk with you, Elisa. I always learn so much when I spend time with you. So this is fantastic. Upbeat Global is my LLC, and I created it because I want to create positive change through leadership and music across the globe. And with my company, we teach leadership. We teach how to optimize your potential. We teach that leadership is inspiring and encouraging others to achieve their full potential. And my website is upbeatglobal.com. Facebook business page is Upbeat Global, with a space in between. And Instagram is upbeat.global. I'm also on Instagram as Matthew Arau. My goal is to serve directors and to help through this really challenging time, and provide support and consultation and a sounding board for directors, but also provide the motivation for students to really find that in this challenge there is opportunity, and that this group of students has the opportunity to create positive change in ways never seen before in history. If they can look at this as an opportunity to maximize online learning, for example, to find ways to connect and create that sense of belonging, create that sense of band and orchestra and choir family that we so crave and is so important to us, that we can still do that no matter if we're in person, hybrid, or virtual. And when we empower our students to be creative, and we provide that space for them to feel that trusting relationship where they can come and share their ideas with us, we don't have to have all the answers. And when we listen to our students, it's incredible what we learn. And they'll help us create that feeling of connection that's so necessary in our music ensembles and in our music classes. So I'm hopeful. I'm also realistic, but I'm hopeful. And as I continue to work with high school students across the country and around the world, I am just continually marveling at their optimism and their creativity. And so I know that truly together we'll get through this.
I hope that you have grown with us through this episode, and it brings you a bit of strength no matter what challenges you're facing in your life right now. You will find all the links to everything that Matthew and I mention, everything that we're doing to help support you in this time on the show notes page for this episode. And you can find those show notes at smartmusic.com/blog. I truly hope that you wake every morning with a smile on your face and manifest for yourself the kind of day, the kind of week, the kind of month, and the kind of life that you want to have. That is my hope and wish for you. Until next time, my dear friend, keep teaching on.